Hey, welcome to our class of Tuesday Night Beer School with me, Chad of Chad's Beer Reviews, and joining us again is Brett Vanderbrook up in Brooklyn. What's going on, man?
How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Homebrew extraordinaire. 13A, dark mild. Overall impression: a dark, low gravity, malt focused British session ale, readily suited to drinking in quantity. Refreshing yet flavorful for its strength, with a wide range of dark malt or dark sugar expression. I'm just gonna move over here to the vitals. Look at the gravity and the ABV. So I mean, that's interesting how the OG lines up with the ABV. 1030 to 3.0, 1038 to 3.8,
hmm
10 to 25 IBU. I'm actually surprised the IBUs are that high. SRM 14 to 25, and we can't get any of these beers in America. Maybe unless you go to like a British specialty pub or bar or something like that. But have you ever had a mild aside from this one?
I can't say that I've had an authentic, like actually from Great Britain mild, but I've had a handful of American craft brewery versions of dark milds.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, any of our viewers from the UK watching are probably like tear their hair out because, you know, the
Yeah.
beer we're reviewing is American made. It's like we just can't get the real thing here. So, all right, let's finish up with the comments and all that stuff. Most are low gravity session beers, around 3.2% of those. Some versions may be stronger, 4% or plus. Range for export, festivals, seasonal, or special occasions. Generally served on cask. Session strength bottle versions don't often travel well. Yeah, I agree. A wide range of interpretations are possible. Pale, medium amber to light brown versions exist, but these are even more rare than dark milds. These guidelines only describe the modern dark version. Historically, mild was simply an unaged beer and could be used as an adjective to distinguish between aged or more highly hop keeping beers. Modern miles trace their roots to the weaker X-type ales of the 1800s, which started to get darker in the 1880s, but only after World War I did they become dark brown. In current usage, the term implies a lower strength beer with less hop bitterness than bitters. The guidelines describe the modern British version. The term mild is currently somewhat out of favor with consumers, and many breweries no longer use it, increasingly rare. There is no historic connection between mild and porter. All right. Some versions may seem like lower gravity modern English porters, much less sweet than London brown ale. Character ingredients: British pale base malts, often fairly dextrinous. And we were just saying off camera, dextrinous means basically like unfermentable sugars.
Which you
But
kind of need when you're dealing with a beer that's this low in
yeah,
alcohol.
crystal malt, dark malts, or dark sugar adjuncts may also include adjuncts such as flaked maize. That's interesting.
Hmm.
You don't really think of maize in anything other than a lager, but and maybe colored with brewer's caramel, characterful British ale yeast. Yep, that's probably. I bet you the yeast is like this the star of the show with these beers. Any types of hops, since their character is muted and rarely is noticeable.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the beer that we're drinking or reviewing tonight, this is called Temperance Dark Mild Ale from Wild East, 3.5%. It's they're out of Brooklyn, right around the corner from Brett's house.
Yeah. This is a beer I've had many, many times.
Yeah. All right, no spoilers.
No,
All
no
right,
spoilers. No
yeah.
spoilers.
We're gonna take a quick break and pour our beers, and we'll be back and with the aroma. All right, we're back. We got our beers poured. I'm going as close to authentic glassware. I just got a regular mug, and Brett's got the Nonic pint glass.
Yeah.
I used to have a bunch of those when I lived in Albany. I haven't had one in years. I always
I just
thought
got
that
it from
bulge.
IKEA.
It just it makes it easy to hold, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's give it a whiff here. I will say it does kind of have like a porter or light stout kind of aroma.
Yeah, I definitely get that roasty, chocolatey character, and I 100% get like some kind of a British yeast, like a yeasty quality.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first thing that strikes me is I get like a toast, almost a slight milk chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there is like a fruity British yeast ester. I would not call it. It's not buttery.
No, no, no. There's no. I don't get any diacetyl at all.
Yeah, which you tend to get in a lot of those British strains, especially Ringwood.
Yeah, for sure. But there is like something like, I mean, it helps if you're a home brewer, but there's that smell of like that leftover yeast cake that's after you've like
Yeah,
transferred your beer, like that's There is that a little bit of that.
I would describe this as a sweet aroma.
I wouldn't disagree. Yeah, I think you're right. Like you say, milk chocolate. I think it is more milk chocolate than dark chocolate. Like I'm not necessarily getting like coffee or like, bitter
Yeah.
chocolate. It is more of like a sweet chocolate aroma.
I think a lot of that sweetness is probably, I think it's just yeast esters, honestly. I don't
Yeah,
really.
well, and all, I mean, I think the malt or the roasted grain is lending itself to that as well.
Yeah, I'm not picking out any hops here other than maybe I think there is like a bit of a floral character to it.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering. I mean, I would imagine. I don't know. I haven't spoken to them, so I don't know which hops they use. But like, it would probably be either like, 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒿 or I mean, it could even be like German noble hops. It like they said, it doesn't really matter.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, there is a little bit of like an earthiness to it that might be lent from hops.
Yeah. Let's check the specs for aroma. Low to moderate malt aroma. It may have some fruitiness. Yeah. I don't know if I'd say it's not like it's just like that British yeast ester fruitiness where it's not any one particular fruit.
Right.
It's kind of like the produce section in general.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
The malt expression can take on a wide range of character, which include caramel, toffee, grainy, toasted, nutty, chocolate, or lightly roasted. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think we both said, maybe nutty chocolate. Yes, I would say probably toffee. Does have like a little bit of like a Nutella kind of thing going to it.
Mm-hmm.
Toasted, yes, that's the first thing that struck me.
Mm-hmm.
Low earthy or floral hop aroma. Yeah, that's what we were saying.
Yeah, I picked up on that. Yeah.
Very low diacetyl optional, and so
Yeah.
that's
No,
that's optional. We're not
I get
getting it.
none. So.
Yeah. As far as score for this one, I mean, it seems to be pretty well on point. The problem is I don't really have much a frame of reference,
Right.
you know?
But if we're just going based on what
Mhm.
we just read, it ticks those boxes. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would start, this might sound high, but I'm going to start 10. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think, essentially, given that we don't have a lot of experience with it and we're just going based on what the
Mhm.
BJCP guidelines are, that is, yeah, it's right on the
Yeah.
money.
All right, let's give it a appearance. I'm not sure how it looks on camera. I'd probably
Yours
call it
looks
like a,
yours looks darker than mine, which is kind of surprising because it's the same. I mean, I
yeah,
mailed you this, so they're from the same.
yeah, same canning date
Yeah.
too. I think it's just the lighting, but
Yeah.
it is, I would call it like a brown. It might look black on camera, but it's like you can call it like a chestnut mahogany, something
Yeah,
like that.
it's definitely brown in like when I'm looking at it with my eyes. And actually I think when I see it on my screen it looks brown. It doesn't look black.
Yeah, especially at that angle from down here.
Mm.
And I got a big foam on it when I poured, but I mean, at least it's hanging around.
Yeah, I feel like I got a little less head than you did, although there is a little bit left. It's not
Mm,
completely gone.
yeah. I think that's normal for the style. I
Yeah.
would call this I mean, it's definitely not well filtered, which is I would assume is kind of normal for the style. It's like beer isn't meant to keep, so it's not much point in filtering it, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, it's definitely I mean, it's always harder to tell with darker beers, but like yeah, I would say that this is somewhat hazy.
Yeah. Good looking beer, I will say.
Yeah.
All right, let's see how it should look. Appearance copper to dark brown or mahogany color, generally clear, although traditionally unfiltered. Low to moderate off white to tan head. Retention may be poor. All right.
Hmm.
So it's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would give that a 3 out of 3.
Yeah, I think I mean, it says generally clear, but it also says unfiltered. So like that, I feel like that's somewhat at
Traditionally
odds with
unfiltered.
itself. But
Yeah, that is that's so it's generally it's clear except when it's not, you know. It should
yeah,
just say
like
may range from clear to whatever haze level that they allow.
unfiltered lagers can clear when they've been lagered for long periods of time. But this is a beer that's meant to be drunk immediately, so like it's not going to clear entirely.
Yeah, it could also be chill haze too.
Yeah.
It might clear as it warms. So, all right. Well, here comes the best part. We get to dive in. Cheers,
Cheers.
or as they sing in England. Cheers. Hmm. The first thing I notice is I think the same thing I said on the nose. To me, it's toasty,
Mm-hmm.
little chocolate, a little Nutella or hazelnut, something like that. Yeah, actually, it's kind of like almost like hazelnut coffee creamer.
Yeah, there's
But
a nuttiness, there's a chocolatiness, there's definitely kind of like a toasty grain. It's like, to me, it's more like toasted grain than toasted bread, but like,
yeah,
yeah, it's it's thin. I mean, it's 3.5%. You know, I mean, it's hard to make a beer feel really full bodied at that, but like it does have
mhm,
a lot of flavor for being a relatively small
yeah,
beer.
yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like it's like Bourbon County, like as far like it's not decadent. I will say it's certainly lightly sweet.
Any sweetness in it is more like a perceived sweetness from the grains more so than like an actual sugary sweetness.
Yeah. I would describe it oddly enough, I do get some bitterness on here. I think most of that is more from like just dark malt. Like it's
Yeah.
like a slight astringency, but I don't mean that like in a bad way, like, like as a flaw. It's like you said, it's a well attenuated, fairly dry beer. So I think like but it has like I said, like almost like a chocolatey or hazelnut flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, like hazelnut, like I don't mean like your coffee creamer where the sweetness is up here. It's like, down here.
Yeah.
It has like, like the suggestion of chocolate. Although it's funny because like it's kind of smells of dark chocolate, like, supermarket candy. But the actual chocolate flavor, I think combined like with the toastiness and probably because it's an American brewery, I imagine that they went a little higher on the hops than an English brewery would. So it seems a little bit more bitter.
Yeah, I mean, you're I'm sure you're not wrong. And like Wild East, because I know this brewery well, they
Mhm.
do tend to brew their beers a little more bitter than their European counterparts. But I will say that like whatever earthy floral hop character we were maybe picking up in the nose a little bit, I'm really not getting much of that in the palate. And like lingering in the back, like it's hard to pick out the hops from this.
Yeah, I think. Well, I am getting kind of a general earthiness, but it's like, it's kind of buried down
It's
there.
very subtle. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's faint.
Are you picking up on any diacetyl?
I get none. I get none on the nose. I get none on the palate.
I would describe it. I mean, it's living up to the name of the style. I would definitely call this a mild beer. It's pretty simple palate. It's like,
You could, yeah. I mean, the point is that you can drink a lot of it, you know,
yeah,
because it's 3.5%, so it's not going to bang you up if you have a couple, and it's easy. You know, it's easier on the palate. It's not real bitter. It's not an assault on your senses. You
yeah,
know, you can kind of just drink it and forget about it, and like not, you know.
yeah. All right, let's see what the specs say. Flavor, generally a malty beer, although it may have a very wide range of malt and yeast-based flavors. All right, malty, sweet, caramel, toffee, toast, nutty, chocolate, coffee, roast, fruit, licorice, plum, raisin. I'm not getting the dark fruits. I
No.
don't get coffee. Little chocolate, little toasty, little nutty. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Uh,
not getting any like dried fruits.
yeah.
That's where I think like the where that British character comes in, is maybe getting a little bit of that like
Yeah.
raisin quality.
I always get like red apple on a lot of the British beers.
Hmm.
Over a bready, biscuity, or toasty base. Yeah, I would agree. Toasty
Hmm.
can finish sweet to dry. Yeah, I would call this like it's almost like drinking water. Like there's almost no aftertaste.
Yeah, it's definitely on the drier side. I don't know if I agree that it's like drinking water. I mean, it is.
Yeah, I'm being a little hyperbolic here.
Yeah,
Versions with darker.
it's a short finish. It doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't linger for a long time.
yeah, it's a quick finish. Yeah, versions with darker malts may have a dry roasted finish, low to moderate bitterness, enough to provide some balance, but not enough to overpower the malt and the balance. Yeah, I agree. To me, this
Mm.
seems they're saying as far as moderate bitterness, and I would to me it seems. Yeah, I mean that describes it low. I don't know if I go as far to say moderate straight up, but
It's
it's
in there. I mean, it says low to moderate, and I would
mm,
place it some. I don't know that I would say it's low, and I don't know to say that it's moderate. I'd say it's somewhere in
yeah.
between there.
I would agree. Moderate fruity esters optional. Okay. Low hop flavor optional. Low diacetyl optional. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I kind of thought I was missing something there without like the yeast and the flavor, but it's saying that's optional. Low hop flavor optional. I mean, I'm picking up on a little bit more flow or earthy hops than you are, I think, but and it's saying that's optional and it's low hop. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
It's.
I get it more in the nose. I definitely get it in the nose. I don't get a lot of it in the
Mm-hmm.
palate.
Also, I think a lot of the toasted or roasted grains are providing a lot of that bitterness. As far as score, I mean, I think it's like it seems to be checking all the boxes,
Yeah.
but this still isn't. I don't know. It's missing that as you like that je ne sais quoi factor of like, but and also the fact that I don't have any very limited frame of reference. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, to me, this is somewhere between a 15 and a 20. I'm thinking. I'm gonna air. I'm gonna go kind of low. I'm gonna well, relatively low. I was thinking 16. What do you think?
I would probably go higher. Okay, I think knowing that you're going 16, I'm going to say 17. That's what I would
17.
say.
Okay. All right. Mouthfeel. Yeah, we call it light bodied, and actually is a little bubbly.
Yeah, there's some carbonation in there. It's not
like a cask beer. Actually, it has more. It has more CO2 than your average cask beer.
yes, I would say I would call this like moderate carbonation.
Medium light body, and yeah, I'd probably call it moderate carbonation.
Yeah, it's
Real easy
definitely, it's
drinking.
not like it's the carbonation isn't it's not over the top. It's not light adjunct lager, and it's not cask beer. It's somewhere, it's kind of somewhere in between there.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see what the specs say for the style. Mouthfeel, light to medium body. Yeah, I would agree. That's exactly what this is. It's
Yes.
light to medium. Generally low to medium low carbonation. All right. So, but just say
I'd say medium low.
generally.
I'd say medium low carbonation.
I think this is this is to me it's medium low to straight up medium carbonation.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, roast-based versions may have a light astringency, and I do get like a tiny little bit. Sweeter versions may seem to have a rather full mouthfeel for the gravity. Should not be flat, watery, or thin. It's funny because I said the first thing that strikes me is when I drank this is that it is kind of like watery. But I think it's just I didn't mean like watery in the fact that it's like because it's a mild. It's it's
Yeah, it's tough because like when you are dealing with a beer that is very low in alcohol, it is going to have, it's hard. You can't compare it to something that's going to be like 6 or 7% alcohol. You have to think of it like in its own. And I think that in this case, it's we did say this is a roast based version, so like that light astringency which you mentioned. This is not a sweeter version, so it doesn't have the fuller mouthfeel. And yeah, I don't necessarily think it's watery. It is lighter. It is a light bodied beer.
Yeah. It's funny because it said like they're kind of saying this like as a objective rather than as a relative thing, like relative to a lot of the beers that we drink, this is thin. But like objectively straight up, I would not call it thin. In fact, the more that I'm drinking it, it seems to actually have a little bit bigger body. So I mean it's mostly there for mouthfeel. I'm thinking there's a 3, maybe 4.
I'm sorry, what is it out of again?
5.
Yeah, I'd go 4. That
4?
would be my 4.
All right. Overall impression, I'm pretty impressed. I'm gonna go 8 out of 10. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I think I'm okay. I think I'm okay with 8. I think I might even go 9, but I'm comfortable with 8.
Okay. All right. Let's see what our score is. All right. So I gave it a 40, and you went. Let's see. 1, 2. See, I think you're about 42. Yeah. So I mean, either way, that's like a really good example.
Yeah.
I mean, anything. I mean, scoring 40 on anything is quite an achievement.
Yeah, I mean, you told me at the beginning, no spoilers, but like now I feel like I'm safe to say like I love this beer. This beer is on tap at a lot of bars in Brooklyn, and like any night I'm out and I'm like I don't want to drink an IPA right now, and I see they have Temperance. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get that. That's good.
All right. Well, I guess that about wraps it up. If you watch all the way in, you're awesome. Let us know in the comments, like, if you like dark milds and if you've had this beer especially. And if you have any requests, let me know too. So thanks again to Brett for sending me this beer.
Cheers.
Yep. And maybe I'll might be up there this summer, like 4th of July, something like that. So maybe we'll get to hang out.
All right. Let me know.
All right. I'd say cheers, but I'm all out.
Just
all right.
salute.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
Somebody brewed it. Chad just reviewed it. Thanks for watching Chad's Beer Review. Trust me, the next episode will be a lot better.